Hi, I'm Brianna.
And I'm Akira.
And you're watching
Dante's Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? First things first, congratulations to the new WBO heavyweight champion of the world, Joseph Parker. He made history tonight or this morning, becoming the first ever New Zealand heavyweight champion of the world. Now, going into this fight, I picked Ruiz to win. I looked at the Carlos Takam fight, and I told you guys in my breakdown that Joseph Parker, he was very uncomfortable on the ropes. He really had no type of inside game. When Carlos Takam got on the inside, he was very successful. And to this day, a lot of people believe that Carlos Takam actually won that fight. So I picked Andy Ruiz to win this fight. The main thing I told you guys that I was concerned about is, will Andy Ruiz let his hands go? Or will he become timid in the fight and gun shy? And that's exactly what transpired in this fight. Like I told you guys before, the first 4 rounds, Andy Ruiz, he seemed to have an edge. He was the aggressor throughout the entire fight, the entire night. But in the first 4 rounds, he was coming forward. He was a little bit more active than Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker was really not, he wasn't really doing a whole lot. He was kind of just pawing with his jab, and he was allowing Andy Ruiz to basically take over the first 4 rounds. But after the first 4 rounds, this is when Joseph Parker, he began to pick it up a little bit more, and Andy Ruiz was basically neutral. He was stuck in neutral, I should say, because he didn't really get any more aggressive. He didn't really pick up the pace. He kept following Joseph Parker. But even though Ruiz was playing the role of the aggressor, once Ruiz got in position to punch, Andy Ruiz would often wait for Joseph Parker to get off his shots, and then Ruiz would play the counterpuncher. So even though he was coming forward, he was more like a come forward counterpuncher as opposed to a come forward aggressive type of Mike Tyson seek and destroy fighter. And I think that was his demise in this fight. This was an extremely close fight. There was some good exchanges in the later rounds. Every time Joseph Parker landed a nice combination, Ruiz would come right back with a beautiful combination. But once again, Ruiz, he was just following, and Joseph Parker was first almost every time they exchange. And I think that was the difference in this fight. Now, of course, you're going to have some Andy Ruiz, fans that's going to say that Ruiz was robbed. There was no robbery in this fight. And this is coming from a guy who picked Ruiz to win the fight. There was no robbery in this fight. It was a very close fight, and there were a couple swing rounds in this fight. So this fight, it could have went either way, but I don't feel that it was a robbery. Matter of fact, I know it wasn't a robbery. Something Joseph Parker was able to do in this fight is he was able to almost dictate the pace with his long jab. He was very effective with his jab. Neither one of these guys was really able to land a lot of power shots. The jab was key with both of these guys in this fight. Ruiz was landing a lot of good jabs as well, but you would have to give the edge to Joseph Parker. Now, the good news for Joseph Parker is he is now the heavyweight champion of the world, at least one of them. The bad news is, after watching this performance, after watching Joseph Parker step up in competition against Andy Ruiz, I don't see Joseph Parker having too much of a chance against the Deontay Wilders, the Anthony Joshuas, and King Kong Luis Ortiz. I feel when it comes to Joseph Parker, one of the best things about watching fighters step up in competition, because we're so used to seeing them fight against weak opposition, and they look great when they're fighting against that level of opposition. But when they fight against one of their equals, then we really get a gauge of how good they are and how far that they can go. And like I said, after watching this performance, I just feel that Joseph Parker, he's a little too passive. And I truly believe going in the ring with a Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua with this type of reluctance, Joseph Parker will be in serious trouble. If Parker showed this level of respect to Andy Ruiz, I believe he would show an enormous amount of respect to Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder in the ring. I don't believe that Andy Ruiz would fare really well with those fighters either. Andy Ruiz is another fighter. He comes forward, beautiful combinations, good power, good speed, but he's kind of passive too. And, Deontay Wilder in particular, to me, even though Deontay Wilder is not the most skilled heavyweight in the world, Deontay Wilder is the type of fighter where his heart, determination to win, to best you in the ring, makes up for any flaws that he has. With that being said, these are the type of fighters. Wilder, he's the type of fighters that steps his game up when he's in there with better competition. And I don't think we really seen that with Andy Ruiz or Joseph Parker tonight. Now, don't get me wrong, I can see Joseph Parker improving, and he could give these guys a very competitive fight. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but this is just the way I see it. This is the way I see it after watching tonight's performance. So the heavyweight division is definitely heating up, and next year should be very, very entertaining for boxing fans, especially when it comes to the heavyweight division. We now have 3 undefeated heavyweight champions in the division. That's pretty damn intriguing right there. And we may get to see Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko next, which would be big. And most likely we're going to get to see a unification bout between Joshua, Wilder, and Joseph Parker now. So let's see what happens, guys. Let's see what happens next. But for now, congratulations to Joseph Parker. That's all I got for now. I'm on to the next one.
This is Bobby, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.